The opinions expressed on this program represent the viewpoints of individual authors or contributors and do not necessarily reflect those of Troy University. This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Folks, we're very fortunate tonight to have as our guest one of the leading political people in the state and as a city councilman, Mr. Eddie Smith, the longtime president of the city council in the great city of Opelika, is our guest tonight. He's the leading candidate for mayor of Opelika, a job he's been training for a couple of decades as Gary Fuller's right-hand man. The longtime legendary mayor of Opelika, Gary Fuller, is not running for re-election, so the heir apparent to that position is the longtime president of the city council and lifetime resident of Opelika, Mr. Eddie Smith, who is very well respected over there in Lee County, and we're glad to have him on the show.
Thank you, Steve. You honor me by allowing me to come join you and visit with you this afternoon. I have, as you stated, been involved with Opelika politics. There's an interesting story in that the current mayor, Gary Fuller, who is in his fifth and final term, heard that he sold his radio stations, and he heard that I was going to run for city council. So he came to see me because I was his banker when he was.
This is about 20 years ago.
It was about 25 years ago.
25 years.
When he needed a banker, I was his banker way back a long time ago. And so he came and said, you know, I think I'm going to run for city council. I said, that's interesting. I was thinking about that. He said, well, how about being my campaign manager? So I said, okay, fine. So we started 25 years ago together, getting him elected. He served a term on the city council. And then the next term, he ran for mayor and defeated an incumbent and has been the mayor
About
for 5
what
terms.
year would that have been?
That would have been 2004.
2004. Now, Opelika runs by council districts geographically, don't they? So y'all were going to run for the same seat.
Right. We
so you acquiesced and let him go ahead and run, and was his campaign manager. So he owed it to you. Y'all really are tight. Y'all go way back.
We do go way back.
2004, y'all were going to run for the same city council seat. Is that the heart of Opelika? Where is it located in Opelika?
Well, Ward 4 is, it is the heart of the residential districts. So we have 5 wards, with 4 being the second largest, but the most highly populated. As you know, we have to go through a census every 10 years, and they count the people and the voters. And Mayor Fuller and I have been in Ward 4 together all this time. He got moved. So he's now in Ward 3, still working on making the numbers equal. And so for the first time, he'll vote at a different place since we started this back in, would have been 2000 when he ran the first time, and then 2004 when he ran for mayor.
Eddie, now you were born and raised in Opelika, weren't you?
I was. 1957, I was born in what was in Lee County Hospital.
Where was it over in Auburn, the East Alabama, where East Alabama is now?
Yeah, right where it says right now. It looked a lot different. And you'll.
Was it the only hospital over there then?
It is. It
was
is.
It was that time when you were born in 57?
It was. And you'll appreciate the fact that back then they gave real live birth certificates and stamped your foot on the birth certificate. And
I've got one of those.
Yeah, I bet you do. And so I'll have one of those from back then. The hospital has been very much in sync with the city. It's our largest employer.
It is the largest employer in Lee County.
Yeah, and of course the university is the largest in Lee County.
Right.
The hospital is the largest in the city of Opelika.
So the hospital's in the city of Opelika.
Correct.
The judicial offices are also in Opelika.
They are. They are.
That's the county seats in Opelika then.
It is.
I'd always forgot. They never have had 2 county seats. It's always been in Opelika.
It is, and we have a federal building there as well.
That's right.
And which is right across the street from the municipal building. And talking about buildings, we've been on a program to upgrade our buildings. And so
the municipal buildings in Opelika?
The municipal building, anything that was city owned. And so in about 20 years ago, we started this planning session. And since that time, we built a new police station, 2 new fire departments, a library, sportsplex, and all of these things were done without borrowed money.
You didn't have a bond issue or anything? Y'all had the money to pay for all that stuff up front?
We have one bond issue and it on the sportsplex, and it has a maturity in 2026.
I've never heard of that.
And we're going to pay it. We're going to pay it in
Fuller
full.
must have been, y'all must have pretty good, know what, you're a banker and run the city council. Well, that's a pretty good thing. How many cities can say that?
Well, not only have we done that, we have $90 million in the bank.
Well, good Lord, how did y'all do that?
Well, I think it was good management. You know, you give the credit where the credit's due. Good management, but it probably was more growth than anything else. We've been so blessed. In those 20 years, we've permitted 5,200 new single-family residences. So people are hearing about Opelika and wanting to move there. At the same time, you'll remember when Gary became mayor and I became a council member, we had 5 large corporations: Ampex, Diversified Products, Opelika Manufacturing, West Point Pepperell, and the and Uteroil. Well, none of those exist anymore.
That is amazing. You know, Opelika was tied to that Uteroil. It was Goodrich. It was Goodrich plant,
right.
the Goodrich plant, and the West Point Pepperell. When you thought of Opelika, they were intrinsically tied together.
That's right. That's right.
So both of them are completely gone.
Both of them, all 5 of them are gone.
The tire plant's not even in existence over
The
there.
building is out there. It was bought by a gentleman from Tuscaloosa that uses it for storage and I guess some sort of shipping.
And Diversified Products is come and gone.
Yeah.
You know, and it was, I didn't know this. Somebody told me the other day that Diversified Products at one time was the largest employer in Lee County,
Yeah.
bigger than Auburn University,
Well,
or close to it.
that must have that probably
It was big though.
it was big, and that probably included salespeople that were around the country.
But those 3 of those things are all gone.
Yes, sir.
Diversified Products, the tire plant, and West Point Pepperell.
Yeah. And Ampex, which made the magnetic tape,
all gone.
and Opelika Manufacturing, which was
Wow,
other
that is an amazing story that you and Gary Fuller have been able to reconstitute your city, really. And y'all have had amazing growth.
We
Let
have.
me ask you this question before we get in that. When you took over, and you and Eddie took over, you and Gary took over in 2004 over there, what was the population of Opelika?
population was about
It
19,000.
was always a fairly large-sized city.
It was, and today it's 30,000.
So it's grown to 30. Now, Auburn has been exponential, though, hasn't it?
Auburn has had faster
But they
growth.
count the students, though. That's the fallacy in Tuscaloosa
Yeah.
and Auburn's population, is they counting 20,000 students, aren't they?
That's what they do.
Tuscaloosa always claims they're the 5th largest city, but I say, Hoover really got 93,000 real people.
Well,
I mean,
what
yeah.
day are they the largest city?
Yeah,
it's
but Auburn's the same way, though.
Oh yeah, they are. They are.
mean-
But both Auburn and Opelika, and because truly we're joined at the hip, have had phenomenal growth. What's good for Auburn is good for Opelika, and vice versa. Now we had to have a lot of funerals to be able to make that
That's
statement.
what I was going to ask you. You haven't been born and raised there and know the history of the city in Lee County. Was there always that harmony? There was at one time there was a lot of rivalry, wasn't there?
There was a lot of rivalry, and in fact, one time probably 30 years ago, we tried to merge the chambers of commerce because we thought, well, that would be the easy place to start.
They wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it. We had a gentleman named Henry Stern. You probably have met Henry.
I know him.
He's passed away now, but he was the director of the Chamber of Commerce. And by George, he wasn't going to let it happen. And it didn't.
He was Opelika Chamber.
He was Opelika Chamber.
Well, Opelika was bigger than Auburn at that time.
They,
was
at that time, again, mainly because it was the county seat.
Right. Okay.
And the student population at the
Had not
university
grown.
had not started
They
spiraling.
may not have been counting them like they did then. They're pretty
That's very
strict about.
possible.
They're very strict about that now. What does Auburn claim their population now?
64,000.
But 20 of those probably students, aren't they?
At least, maybe 30. But the problem that our friends in Auburn have, which is going to work to everybody's benefit, is they're landlocked. They don't have any more places.
Is that one of the reasons why I've noticed a lot of professional people in Lee County have moved to Auburn, or Opelika, I mean?
Right. Yeah.
A lot of the doctors and lawyers live in Opelika, don't they?
They choose to do that because they can be involved in the sports programs at the university, but they don't have to do all the other things that go on with the university with the students and all that. So, yeah, part of our population growth has been senior adults that went to school at Auburn, had a affiliation with Auburn, and decided to move back to Lee County. And quite frankly, they can buy the same house $100,000 cheaper in Opelika.
Even today they can.
Today. Now, obviously, that's going to balance
Been
itself
a lot
out.
of lot of new homes built in Auburn, hadn't there?
There's a whole lot been, and now they're moving up toward Lake Martin, but they're going to get to the end of the county line there.
Eddie, one thing I was going to ask you about is that Opelika has seen some good growth, but it's been consistent growth. What have you filled the void of those industries? How have y'all done that?
Well, flying across the world is the short answer. We have been to Korea several times. We've been to Japan, and even in the States, all to Los Angeles and to Chicago. And so today we have a company called Pharmavite, which is is domiciled in Los Angeles. They make nature-made vitamins.
Are the ones that advertise on the news?
The
and all
ones you
that?
see advertised on television.
They manufacture those in Opelika?
Made right there in Opelika.
I don't watch TV. There's not an ad on that every 5 minutes. Though.
Yeah. So
I think every old person like me is buying those.
Yeah, well, now don't ask me ever Fuller about him because he believes in them. He takes blood every single day.
I take them too, but I don't know if they can do me any good, but I take them.
It makes you feel better, right?
I don't know if it does or not, but I think it does.
We had another company that's the
local. You're making those nature vitamins in Opelika. What's the name of the company?
Pharmavite.
You and Jerry went out there and got them, brought them on?
We did.
How many people they employ?
200.
Y'all got a pretty good industrial park, don't you?
And they are in that. The problem with our industrial park is that we don't have any land left. But across the creek, we have another 100 acres. And the Seeds grant that Governor Ivey put out, we were awarded $750,000. $750,000.
Yeah.
And so we're going to, obviously you can't build a bridge for that, but you can build a part of a bridge with it. And so we're going to bridge over and get that 100 acres in use.
And that's what it's going to be used for?
That's going to be the next part of the industrial park.
But back to the vitamin thing, how many employees they have?
They have 250, and they are always expanding. So we went out to Los Angeles, and they drove us around to all their plants out there, and they said none of them are as efficient as the one in Opelika. And so their focus is to keep growing the Opelika one because they have good management and they are able to attract employees. That's one of the things that has happened in Opelika about employees. We got a big circle, including Valley, Alabama, and Lower Garden, Beulah. And so those number of employees come into town every day. And then
they may live in Chambers County.
And they may. And so we had, for a long, long time, a 1.5% occupational tax. We lowered it, which is unheard of because you can't raise it back up.
No.
So we went from 1.5% to 1%, which put somewhere around $6 million back into our community. And people are, they just were so thankful about it. They didn't request it. I mean, this was a thing that was an idea. I think Gary must have had it a long time, and he waited to the right time to introduce it. And as the council president, it was my job to get it on the agenda and make sure we had 3 votes before we
Y'all got 5 council districts.
We have 5 council districts, and by law, 2 of them have to be majority minority.
Oh, that's by law.
By law, yep.
It's not judicial. It's a legislative act. I mean,
it was a legislative act, and so when
that's interesting. You had to do it that way.
Yeah. So when we were going from a 3-man commission form of government.
Oh, that was a while back.
A long time
ago. Before you and Gary ran.
Correct. And so the choice, obviously, as you know, is you can be a council manager, or you can be a council mayor. And Auburn has the opposite of us. So they have a city manager that runs things on a daily basis.
Now, I interrupted you before. I was going to ask you about the, is there any other industry y'all have gotten to make up those slack and all that stuff?
Yeah, let me tell you about the biggest one.
Okay.
And you'll love this story, Steve, because today they are operating on the grounds that used to be Diversified Products, and they're going to be, upon completion, the biggest one that's ever come to Lee County. It's Miele. They manufacture high-end appliances. They're going to employ 824 people, and they're going to spend $650 million.
Where's their home office?
Their home office is in Germany.
So they chose y'all.
They chose us.
Did you and Gary go over there to Germany and see
did.
them and everything?
We did. We did.
That reminds me of old folks from going over there and getting Mercedes.
Well, yeah. And of course, they made a lot of visits to Opelika that we didn't know about.
That's exactly the way the Germans did when they came to look at Mercedes. I was with the legislature and was passing some of the incentive stuff of Jim Folsom Jr., and I went to Germany with him. Those Germans are real secretive.
And this Miele company is still family owned. It's in its 5th generation. And so
that's already announced. Have they started building the building and everything?
They haven't started going vertical with the building yet. We had a private individual had 2 large warehouses, aluminum warehouses out on Williamson where Diversified used to sit. And so they rented in for them, and they're shipping in their product and assembling them, but they're not making them yet, but they will. And it'll take, a couple of 3, 4, 5 years for all that to happen. But they took the last and the largest piece of our industrial park.
So Diversified Product was actually in the industrial park.
No, they were across town, and this is where they're manufacturing now.
Oh, okay.
And so when they get ready to go vertical with their real building, it will move across the town into the Northeast Industrial Park.
Eddie, I've looked at this over the years. University cities like Austin, Texas, and Auburn have grown exponentially because a lot of people who went to school at Auburn or University of Texas or Alabama, for that matter, they would come back to retirement. Have y'all done some of that over there in Opelika?
We've seen
people want to come back there because their 4 years in college is some of their most fondest memories, and it attracts people. They may have met there and married while they were at Auburn. Have y'all done some of that over there?
I'll tell you the biggest story about that. The short answer is yes. But Alan Harris, a builder that owns Bailey Harris Construction, built a subdivision on 280 as you
heading up
as you're leaving town. It's there on the left.
Heading to Tallapoosa County.
As you head to Tallapoosa County, correct. It's got 300 single-family residences in it, but it's also got 300 senior citizen residents where you can choose to live independently, or you can choose to live in a facility where they take care of you, or you can choose to buy you a house in there.
I would think that Opelika would be a better attraction for older, over 55 people than Auburn because they're not in there with all the students running around.
Right. And the subdivision that I live in myself is a, quote, 55
So the
plus
same
one.
thing in Opelika. Is it that same area?
If you get back to 280, it's about 5 miles one direction.
And our generation, people that are doing that, we're not a burden on the taxpayers like the schools age are.
You don't have to provide any services other than obviously the water and the sewer and the power and the trash pickup. But we don't even have to. We don't even own the road in the subdivision I live in. So the city will never have to worry about replacing that road.
You don't see that often like you do now. Like even in towns the size of Opelika or city the size of, you don't see somebody that's homegrown like you are. I mean, you've seen Opelika since 1957.
I have.
And seen that. Well, you remember when you grew up, the tire plant. A lot of your neighbors that coached you in Little League baseball and taught you in Sunday school worked at the tire plant and West Point Pepperell, didn't they?
Yep. I actually lived in Pepperell Mill Village growing up, and so we were really connected to West Point Pepperell because of it was 3 blocks down the street.
Lynette had a big plant too, didn't they?
Lynette had a big plant. My coach was Coach Smallwood.
He worked
He worked there. And, he got off at 3 o'clock, and we started practice at 3:30.
As soon as he got off work, when you played in Pee Wee football,
yeah,
or Little League baseball,
football and baseball.
Yeah,
it was a great time to be in, part of that. It was just incredible.
But it was a different era, wasn't it? It was a different. But Opelika was known for that. And just think, those industries are gone.
They're gone.
But y'all made it up for it, y'all. and have that kind of surplus in your budget,
Yeah,
and they've grown. Y'all are what, 30,000 now?
30,000.
30,000.
We actually have the plant that makes this bottled water.
Are they in the industrial plant?
They're in the industrial.
Now, where are they located? Where's their home base?
Their home base is in France. And
How'd
so
y'all get them? You and Jerry go out and get them too?
we did. We did.
Y'all go to France to see them and everything?
We did.
How many people they employ?
They got 150.
And they're in the same place as the vitamin place.
They are in the same part. And I tell you a great story about them. When the storm came through North Carolina,
Yeah.
they loaded up 5 pickup trucks load of water and delivered it to North Carolina and gave
They
it.
make the plastic bottles in Opelika.
They make the bottles and the water.
The water.
And speaking of the water, I serve as a city representative on the water board. And so we're always looking for big water users. And so when Niagara came, it was a boon for the water board because, that's what they do,
I
make
know.
water.
Eddie, but you couldn't script you to be a better mayor.
Well,
I mean, given you're born and raised in Opelika. Now you were a big banker there too. Shouldn't say, but what bank were you affiliated with? You retired now?
I am retired. Actually, Monday was my last official day to be at the bank.
Was it a local bank or just?
It's a local bank. It's called Auburn Bank.
That's well known. It's done real well.
Right. And
So started in Auburn.
I was the president of the Opelika office.
Okay. How many years you president?
25.
You made a lot of loans there, 25 years.
I did. I made a lot of loans and met a lot of people. I told people a lot of times about being a banker. Some days you're a financial planner. Some days you're a minister. Some days you're a critic. You don't know what you're going to get on a day-to-day basis.
Did Auburn sell out to a chain?
No,
Y'all still independent?
still independent.
Is Opelika own your own utilities? Y'all one of the
We
utilities?
do.
I thought y'all were one of the biggest ones. Y'all in Dothan.
Yes, that's correct.
Two of the biggest ones.
And we're members of the Alabama
Electric,
Municipal Electric Authority. And so we have our own Opelika Power building. That was one of the buildings that we built without without any debt.
Troy's own electric owned, city owns their thing too. That's a moneymaker for cities.
It is. It is
That's
indeed.
a real moneymaker.
We transfer $3 million a year from the OPS, Opelika Power Services, to the Opelika City Schools.
Who decided to do that? Who was the Opelika mayor that did that? Was a smart thing to have done.
It was Mayor Fuller.
He got them in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He started the utility thing.
Well, the utility thing was there before the giving of the money.
Okay.
Because they have no other customer than the people of Opelika, the community, because they're limited to our city limits. And so they had excess cash, and we started using it.
Eddie, one thing that caused y'all's growth too is you've got a real good sports athletic facilities there, and you also you must give a lot of city money to your school system, because that Opelika school system has come under a lot of praise. It's done real well. That's one reason why you attract people in it.
Well, it is, and we recognize that. So on the spectrum of attracting people, so we got the 65 plus that are coming back for their reasons to come back. Well, then we got a lot of young people coming because of these industries that we're talking about bringing in, and they're coming in to be in management positions in these industries. And so we are trying, or we are doing our best to make sure that the schools have everything they need to offer.
You hit on something there about that. Do you know Lee County is thought of course, for Auburn University, which is a major national, international university. But in today's economy, one of the sleeping giants that you got access to is that Southern Union, the junior college, the community college system. I bet you got 6,000 students going there.
Well,
and they're local people.
That's right.
And they go in there and they got a job waiting for them.
Yeah,
and they're gonna make more than the graduate Auburn is.
That's right.
You get a kid going to Southern Union to major in HVAC or whatever, or training for one of these industry jobs.
Aviation management, one of these industry jobs that we got going.
Southern Union has really been I bet you praise them, don't you?
It's a real gem. In fact, the president of the Southern Union right now, Todd Shackett, we're fixing to get him on our industrial development board.
It's logical too.
Yeah,
that's who you should be on there.
We want his ear,
I'm gonna tell you, the community college system is poised to be the engine for the state. This whole workforce development thing that Governor Ivey passed last year is all based around the community college system. I mean, that's where the jobs are.
And it so happens geographically, our high school is right across the street.
Are you
from the
serious?
community college.
So
right?
they can get some course. That is amazing. Southern Union is right across the street from Opelika?
Right across the street. And
High school, Opelika High School?
Yes, sir. And so we have reached an agreement that would allow our students to go across the street and take some classes at Southern Union.
Oh, man, that right across the street.
Right across the street. And in
I
fact,
bet there's not another location in the state that has that kind of coziness.
we had a young lady graduate Opelika High in May, will start Auburn in August as a sophomore because she took advantage of being able to go across the
Walk
street.
across the street
Yeah.
and get classes at Southern Union.
And if you remember, you get your math out of the way, you get your
Uh-huh.
English out of the way, and so that's quite a story and a great partnership between the community college and the high school, the whole city.
What they're doing too is they'll take your kids in Lee County and take them into Southern Union, and they will train them specifically for these industries you're bringing.
That's right.
You know that. That's why you definitely need to shack it on your thing.
And the industries is one of the first visits that we have when they get to the States is at Southern Union at their automation development department. And we say, okay, what do you need? What do you need training in?
See, that's the future.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right there in the future with that right there. And I bet, and every one of those kids that go to Southern Union, 96% of them are going to stay in. They're going to stay in Lee County.
That's right. That's
And
right.
they're from that Tri-County area.
Yeah.
They're from Lee, Chambers, Lynette, and all through there.
Sure. And it's a great education. They got a great
Got a
staff.
job waiting for them.
Yeah, exactly. And when they graduate, they
And good paying one
trained.
too.
Absolutely. And one example is the truck driving.
Right, exactly.
So they actually teach people how to drive 18-wheeler tractors. And there's a big demand for those. You go out on the interstate and you can see them.
Ain't no question about it.
So yeah, it's a great opportunity for them.
Eddie, I hate to tell you this, our time's up. It goes by, so I really enjoyed getting to know something about Opelika. But thank you for doing this. But our time, we only have 30 minutes. Our time's up for this thing.
Oh,
But,
I could do this all day
maybe
long.
we'll come
Steve.
back and do it again for your election. Y'all, the guest tonight has been longtime president of the City Council in Opelika and lifetime resident of Opelika, Mr. Eddie Smith, who's a retired banker with Auburn National Bank in Auburn. You couldn't write a resume that says, here's our next mayor to follow the legendary Gary Fuller. They've been a team together for 20 years, and they made Opelika a crown jewel of the state, and we wish Eddie well in his election for mayor of Opelika. And thank you, viewers, for watching. Hope you tune in again next week for Alabama Politics. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
This has been Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, a production of Troy University Television. Opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Troy University, its administration, faculty, staff, or students.